It's time for this week's RSPW Rewind. Marks and smarks, two terms that I hate, but you hear them all the time. You're a mark. Quit being a mark. Oh yeah, you think you know everything. You're a smark. It gets old when you hear it over and over and over again on social media. But these are terms that go back decades. Yes, even smarks. Although years ago you saw less of the word smark and more of the term smart fan. They called them smart fans. And there were a lot of people on RSPW back in the 90s who had no love for the smarks. I thought this week's segment would be dedicated to marks and smarks and some very passionate opinions about that issue, even back 20 years ago or 25 years ago, when you weren't arguing over work rate and backstage politics. You were watching the shows and either loving them or hating them. The debates that you have online today were being held on RSPW every day back then. One person even posted in 2004, Metalhead3138, with a post titled RSPW in the 60s. He was mocking smart fans, saying things like, will San Martino ever job? I'm sick of smarks marking for Jobrilla Monsoon. Laugh-In equals the most overrated TV show of all time. Will Johnny Weaver ever win the big one? Harley Race equals underappreciated. Not giving Bobo Brazil the strap is racist. So that was posted in 2004, but then we go back in the Wayback Machine to October 24, 1996. Mark Davis started a thread titled Arrogancy of So-Called Smart Fans. And then in parentheses he put, you guys. In case it wasn't clear who he was referring to, he felt compelled to clarify that. This is kind of long here, so bear with me. This is not intended to get flames from RSPW or to get heat. It's just my opinion about the attitude of smart fans. It's clear to me that we fans of RSPW seem to think that we are somehow better than other wrestling fans because we know more about the inside workings of the business than other fans. This is apparent by the swiftness that someone on here calls another a mark over and over again when they think that the person knows less than they do. I think that everybody on here is just as much of a mark as anyone else, and there's no need to be arrogant about how much you think you know. I get the feeling people on here think that they know everything about how wrestling works, but this is foolish. In my view, if you are not directly in the business, then you aren't any smarter than the rest of the fans. After a WWF house show in Chicago, I had the opportunity to talk to Shawn Michaels for about 10 minutes. One of the things I asked him about was the sheets or the newsletters. He said regarding the sheets, we let them know what we want them to know. I take that a step further by saying that the same applies about so-called smart fans. They think they know everything, but they only know little more than the marks, but when it comes down to it, smart fans really don't know much. They too are being worked just as much as the marks, but at least the marks don't have this arrogancy about them that they know it all. Take ECW, for example. I love reading when people talking about the whole ECW WWF angle talk about how Paul E. would never work with the WWF because he hates them. That just goes to show how much these people are Paul E. marks because they believe anything he says. Or I'll hear Gary Wolf, Pitbull #1, is legit hurt. This is not a work. No way! Now, I'm not saying that Pitbull's injury was a work or not. I don't know. That's not the point. The point is that for somebody not in the business to be so sure that it was a legitimate injury is the sign of a mark. Those in ECW Arena marked out when Shane Douglas attacked an injured Pitbull and were outraged. These are just a couple of examples of an arrogancy by smart fans, many who frequent RSPW, who think they know it all. Here's my advice. Enjoy the matches. Don't shout out the wrestlers' real names thinking you know everything. Don't antagonize other fans for being marks, or make fun of them for liking wrestlers who have bad work rate or something silly like that. Everybody has their own tastes, and respect that. Don't think that you're better than them. When it comes down to it, you are just as much of a mark as they are. So that is from Mark Ironically, his name is Mark. I mean, what the fuck are the chances of that? His name is Mark Davis. E-Row replied, saying, an actual intelligent posting. I did not think people like you existed on here. Jeff Amdor says, we are all marks. There is nothing more disgusting than going to a house show and hearing some jerk yell out stuff that could ruin it for the true believers. What the hell kind of sadistic pleasure does one get out of doing that? As much as I can't stand Hulk Hogan or The Warrior and will bash them in this news group, there's no way I'm going to yell, "No Selwig," at the guy at a live show. I'll boo, and if I'm asked why am I booing, I can give a "he sucks" kind of answer, but the last thing anybody wants to hear at a live show is a comment that will disillusion a fellow fan. I may never respect Hogan or his lack of work rate, but I'll never present that as anything more than an opinion. I'll never show disrespect to those I disagree with. There is good reason why Molière did not stage his Les Misanthropes in a wrestling arena setting. Well, now he's just gone over my head here with these references. But we have a rare show of solidarity here on RSPW. And then Con McIntosh has to come along and ruin it. This is what he says. Well, now that nearly everybody on RSPW has bent over backwards to kiss this guy's ass, I just have to point out that there is no such word as arrogancy. Arrogancy, by the way, is recognized as a word by Webster's Dictionary. Just as an aside, maybe it wasn't in 1996 when this post was made, but it is today. Which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because I would think that you could just use the word arrogance. Right? I mean, there's a reason Rick Martel didn't call his spray bottle arrogancy, because that would have sounded stupid. March 20th, 1997, another user named KK, thankfully there's only two, wrote a post titled "Smart Fans." To those of you who think you're smart fans, I say you're all a bunch of marks. That is why you're a fan. There are no smart fans, only marks. Fan equals mark. Period. You all watch what we do, but the fact is you still remain absolutely clueless as to how the business actually works. There is so much that goes on that you dorks don't even know about. It's ridiculous. If you're not in the business, you just don't understand how it works, and you never will. Smark equals mark. RSPW equals jerk-offs. Then we had a post by Zoogs Rift, the Liquid Moamo. I have no fucking idea what that means. He did not like KK's post. He did not take very kindly to KK's post, as evidenced by his reply here. His reply, by the way, should have come labeled with a rated R label. So just be aware of that. "You arrogant, dumb fuck piece of human dog shit." Boy, don't you love when a post starts out like that? "What you say is absolutely true. I know it because I worked in the business in numerous capacities for a number of years, but your stupid, condescending, arrogant attitude makes you too a mark. A mark of the worst kind. An RSPW mark. You don't even use your real name. Well, goddammit, I'm Zoogs Rift, the fucking Liquid Moamo, more fucking hardcore than your granny's best boner. And I'm in RSPW all the time. Why, you might ask? Because I fucking feel like it, that's why. I regard all the people in here as the fine, wonderful children I never had. And I enjoy watching them grow and develop into fine, outstanding, responsible, inventive men and women, planting the seeds of achievement into the wind, spreading peace, joy, and psycho-aquatic happiness throughout the universe. So I say unto you, Mr. or Ms. Hotshot, fuck you! Fuck you, fuck you, fuck thee. Fuck brethren and sethern of ye pro-wrestling upper crust. You are not even worthy of being called crust. You are just one of the crumbs. Ha-ha! Take that, anus breath. You stink like a fucking pig. You got that dinky doodles? Pig! Do you hear me? Shut your filthy puke-ridden face before I have to come over there and shut your feces breath yap for you. I thank you for your time. I think it's the "I thank you for your time" at the end that got me the most when I first read this post. Very respectful at the end, right? It's all about how you close. He closed in a very respectful way. KK says, "Hey Peckerhead, why don't you get a straw and suck a fart out of my ass, you worthless proletarian piece of human pus? People like you are the ones responsible for the bad name of RSPW. Yes, oh yeah. People like Zoogs are the problem with RSPW, not the guy who just told somebody to suck a fart out of his ass. Oh my god. This is what was going on in 1997. We move on to April 12, 1997. Hazmat. Hazmat posted "The Problem with Being a Smart Fan." That was the title of his post. As I think of what is bad, he says, about being smart fans, it reminds me of a time when I enjoyed wrestling, when I was young, not knowing what would happen next on the wrestling programs, as I would anticipate the shows every week. Nowadays, that's called being a mark. But as you look back at the times that you were a mark, it makes you realize how much more fun wrestling was. What was once a place of pleasure and a hobby of yours has now almost become a burden. Always wanting to know what will happen ahead of time, which angles will happen, who will have what belt, as you do realize that you are more of an investigator doing work than you are a genuine fan. When you look at Japanese wrestling and Mexican wrestling, and then you come onto the internet, and you realize that those American fans who watch Japanese and lucha, who follow these promotions, seem to be more concerned about showing off how much they know, as if they're in a competition with other smart fans. It makes you think, do they really like Japanese wrestling, or are they only trying to impress us with how much they know? Peter Ransom then replies, couldn't agree more with Smarks trying to impress everybody with their knowledge. I was at the ECW summer convention last year, and all of the internet fans, all they did during the Chris Jericho Sabu match was call all of the moves. I thought this was really sad and pathetic. I know more names of moves than most, but I didn't shout out, whoa, Acai moonsault. They actually spoiled their own enjoyment by trying to impress everybody and not just appreciating the moves. The highlight, though, had to be the supposed Smarks, who claimed that Jericho bladed his nose. That's a new one to me. I've not heard that one before. There's a lot to be said against some smart fans. Lots of people think they're smart on here, but they are not. Fast forward 1 year to April 19th, 1998, the night of the WCW Spring Stampede pay-per-view, and a post by Guy B titled, God, you people are ridiculous. All the people saying there was no angle development are full of shit. Raven winning the US title, Hogan attacking Nash, Savage winning the belt. What the fuck do you call that? I think that's plenty of angle development. Oh, I give up. WCW puts out a pay-per-view with real surprises and good matches, and you still bitch about it. They actually shake things up like everybody says they should, and people fucking whine still. There's something wrong with all of you fucking people. WrestleMania has to be the most overrated pay-per-view ever, and yet a real good show comes along and you people slam it. Internet fans don't know shit about wrestling. Just fuck you all. Wow. Very angry post by Guy B. EBR replies, he says, take one Prozac and post again in the morning. And in the OP's defense, in the original poster's defense, in scrolling down, Guy did post something of an apology later on, which is pretty rare on the internet. He said, sorry about this, my point still stands, but I got a little carried away. And going over the post, it seems that most people were positive. Haha, sorry, I promise it will never ever happen again. And then on December 2nd, 1998, Devlin Rink made a post titled, how many smart fans does it take to screw in a light bulb? The answer? 0. They'd never screw in a light bulb because they'd be convinced that it was all a work. Number 1, Scotty Riggs Mark on the Net replies. Takes a lot of courage to have a name like that. He says, personally, I wouldn't screw it in yet. I want to see if General Electric will match the 5-year, $4 million contract that I've already gotten with Sylvania. Spoken like a true wrestling fan. As you can see, this Marks versus Smarks debate has been going on for a lot longer than you may think. And now if you'll excuse me, I have to go see if that Spring Stampede show really was as good as Guy B says it was.